Isabella, a travel vlogger living a life of luxury and glamour, often showed off her adventures to the world. Then there was David, a hardworking baggage handler, quietly doing his job behind the scenes. What David did in return after an unexpected encounter will amaze you, so stay tuned to find out. Before we dive in, please let us know in the comments where you are watching from. And if this story resonates with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's free for you, but it helps us grow so we can bring you more amazing stories. So, let's continue with the story. The bright, bustling airport was a world of its own, a place where stories began and ended every single day. People rushed through the terminals, pulling suitcases, checking boarding passes, each with their own destination and purpose. Among them was a woman named Isabella, a travel blogger who went by the name Bella Voyager online. Isabella was in her early 30s, with perfectly styled hair, designer clothes, and a phone that was practically glued to her hand. Her life, or at least the life she showed to her thousands of followers, was all about luxurious hotels, breathtaking views, and exotic experiences. She was always documenting it, capturing every single moment. Isabella had just arrived at the airport for her next adventure. She was on her way to the Maldives, a place she'd been dreaming of visiting for a long time. As she moved through the busy terminal, phone in hand, she recorded herself speaking to the camera. "Hey, travel fam. Bella Voyager here, ready for another adventure," she said, her voice upbeat and energetic. "Can you guess where I'm off to next? That's right. The beautiful Maldives. Get ready for crystal clear waters and white sand beaches. I'm so excited to bring you all along. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and stay tuned for all the amazing content." Isabella paused her recording and continued to walk towards baggage claim, making sure to capture a few more shots of the busy airport scene. She was constantly looking for content, finding the glamour even in the mundane. As she arrived at the baggage claim area, she noticed a baggage handler, a man in his late 20s named David, moving luggage onto the carousel. David was wearing a slightly worn uniform, and his face was a bit sweaty from the work. He was focused and efficient, making sure each bag was handled with care. Isabella, always on the lookout for a new angle, began to record. She zoomed in on David and spoke to the camera in a voice that was both condescending and mocking. "Okay, guys. So here's a behind the scenes look at what goes into making our travel dreams happen," she said with a slight giggle. "Not exactly the most glamorous job, is it? These guys, well, let's just say they're the unsung heroes. Though, I think unsung is a nice word for it. More like the forgotten heroes, haha." She then focused on a particularly large and expensive-looking suitcase, one of her own. "And there's my baby, my new custom-made suitcase. Isn't it gorgeous?" she said with pride. "Let's hope it makes it to the Maldives in one piece." She gave David a quick glance, her nose slightly turned up, before walking towards the baggage carousel. She didn't see David shaking his head slightly in response. David didn't hear every word, but he saw the way Isabella looked at him. He saw the mocking smile, and the way she was making fun of his job. It wasn't the first time someone had looked down on him, but it still bothered him, nonetheless. David took pride in his work, knowing how much each bag meant to the person who owned it, and he tried his best to handle them carefully. It felt unfair that someone would disrespect him simply because of his job. He continued his work, and Isabella went on her way, completely unbothered by her behavior. She collected her luggage, did another quick video update for her followers, and made her way to her gate, completely forgetting about David. Isabella's flight to the Maldives was smooth, and she spent the entire time taking photos, videos, and editing content. Once she arrived, it was everything she imagined: beautiful beaches, clear blue water, and stunning resorts. She spent her first few days soaking up the sun, snorkeling, and of course creating content for her social media channels. However, something was off. One of her custom bags, the most important one she had, did not arrive. She filed a missing luggage claim but was starting to get worried. It was another day at the airport, and David was on another shift. He had the same meticulous attention to detail, making sure every bag was being handled correctly. It was a lot of hard work, and often it went completely unnoticed. He was used to it, but it didn't mean it didn't bother him when people looked down on him. He saw one of the baggage claims reports come in. It was the custom suitcase of the blogger, Bella Voyager. He had seen a tag on it that had her real name, Isabella, but hadn't paid attention to the details. He had actually seen it earlier, a tag that had come off during transport. David realized that he remembered where he had put it after tagging it so it doesn't get lost. He decided to look for it, knowing how important it was to people to get their luggage back as quickly as possible. David started to search through the storage areas, hoping to find the misplaced suitcase. Finally, after searching for nearly an hour, he found it. It was tucked into a storage cart that had been misplaced. David was relieved he had found the expensive suitcase. As the days passed, Isabella's frustration grew. She had called the airline several times, but no one was able to tell her what happened with her bag. She was starting to panic, because that suitcase held all her camera equipment, some of her branded clothing, and other essential items for her vlogs and her content. This was a serious problem, and she was beginning to lose her focus. She needed this bag. Without it, she couldn't work and she couldn't keep up with her demanding audience. She had almost given up hope when one afternoon she got an unexpected call. "Hello? This is Isabella?" "Yeah, Bella Voyager," she said, her voice a mix of panic and annoyance. "I was calling about my missing luggage again. I was told it was on its way, and now I hear nothing." The airline employee, calm and professional, replied, "Wes, Ms. Isabella, I am pleased to inform you that we located your luggage, and it is on its way to you now. It seems one of our staff members found it after it was misplaced, but we are very pleased to inform you that it is being sent over immediately." Isabella was relieved, and she was now very curious about how her bag was found. She wanted to be there to thank the person who had found it, since it was such a great help for her. A few days later, Isabella received her suitcase. She was so happy to get it back. The suitcase arrived with a note saying that the baggage handler who had found it had been diligent enough to find it. She finally decided to send a message to the airlines, hoping that they'd get the word to the baggage handler who found her bag. She wanted to thank him, to show him her appreciation, and perhaps use his story as content for her vlog. She asked them to reveal his name and contact information, and she was surprised by his simple answer. His name was David, and he preferred not to be mentioned. All he wanted was to know that his efforts had helped someone out, and that he was happy to help. Isabella was impressed by the way David had handled the situation, but even with his request, she was determined to use his story. When Isabella returned home, she decided to make a video about the entire situation. She decided to go back to the airport with her cameras to talk to some baggage handlers, hoping to find David. Isabella walked into the airport, feeling a bit different this time. She wasn't quite as high and mighty and arrogant as before. She walked to where the baggage handlers worked and looked around. She saw several baggage handlers, most wearing the same uniform. She decided to approach one of them, a lady in her 50s, and asked in a polite tone, "Excuse me, Ma'am, I was hoping I could ask you a few questions about baggage handling." The woman, who looked like she'd been doing this for a long time, replied with a warm smile, "Sure, honey. I've been doing this for over 30 years. Ask away." Isabella, her voice filled with curiosity, explained, "Well, you see, recently one of my custom suitcases was lost and one of the baggage handlers found it. He was a real hero, honestly, and I wanted to know what it's like working in baggage handling." The baggage handler paused for a moment, then said with a touch of pride, "Well, it's not as glamorous as most of the work going on around here, but every job matters in the airport. We take pride in what we do because every single person in this airport counts on us." Isabella nodded in agreement. "That's so true," she said, with a genuine gratitude in her tone. "Thank you so much." Isabella continued to walk around, asking the same question to different people, trying to find out more about the baggage handlers. As she walked, she finally saw David working on one of the cargo belts. She walked towards him, feeling a bit nervous this time. She looked down. As she remembered that day when she had made fun of him, she walked right in front of him. "Excuse me, David," she said, her voice slightly hesitant. David looked up, a bit surprised to see her. He didn't recognize her at first without the expensive clothes and the makeup. Yes, he responded, his tone neutral. Isabella started. Hi, I'm Isabella, or Bella Voyager. I think we met before. You may not recognize me. It was here at the airport baggage area. I have a travel blog, and I think you found my luggage a couple of weeks ago. My custom-made pink luggage with the flower. David's expression was blank. He remembered the blogger, but he hadn't connected the name to her. Oh, right. Yes, I did find that bag, he replied, his voice calm. I'm glad it made its way back to you. Isabella, sincere, said. I wanted to say thank you so much. You have no idea how much that meant to me. And, well, I also wanted to apologize. I know how I acted the last time we met, when I arrived at the airport. David looked at her, a bit surprised, but he wasn't angry. It's okay, he responded. It happens a lot. People don't understand the kind of work we do. They judge, but we keep working hard. You did help me by giving me the incentive to tag all bags from now on. Isabella's voice was now full of remorse. I was so wrong to treat you like that. I saw you as a person doing a low-level job, and I realize how unfair that was. You were simply doing a job that you care about. I've always been focused on the glamour and surface level of things. I am so ashamed. I hope you can forgive me. David paused for a moment, considering her words. He had seen many people pass through the airport, people who treated him like he was invisible, but Isabella was different. She was acknowledging her mistake, and that meant something. Everyone makes mistakes, he responded. The important thing is that we learn from them. I'm glad you are here to understand a different angle of how things work. Your bag is safe. Isabella, now feeling more humbled than ever, decided to do a video with David. She told her viewers about her experience and how she had made the mistake of judging someone based on their job. She apologized for her actions and spoke about the importance of respecting every job and every individual. Isabella spoke to her audience about how David went out of his way to find her bag, while at the same time working so hard. She confessed that this was a very hard lesson, but a lesson that had helped her grow. David shared his perspective on the work of baggage handling and explained how their role was fundamental to keeping things running smoothly in every airport. Isabella committed to focusing more on real stories and less on superficial glamour. Over the next few months, Isabella's content started to change. She started to show more of the unsung heroes, the people who were doing great things without needing the spotlight. She highlighted the stories of hardworking individuals and how every single person played a key role in society. She began to really listen to others and use her platform for positive change. David continued his work at the airport, knowing that he was making a difference. He still had to deal with many judgmental looks, but he had gained a new sense of purpose. Isabella and David had both learned a very important lesson: never judge a book by its cover, and never judge a person based on their job. True value was in character, hard work, and compassion, not in fame or status. The airport became a symbol of something bigger. That every story is unique and every person has the right to be respected, no matter what their job, social status, or what they have. So, that was the story of Isabella and David, whose paths unexpectedly crossed and changed their perspectives. Please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are about Isabella and David. And if this story really inspired you, hit that subscribe button for more new stories every day.
Thank you for watching.